literally. In a land of likes, leggings, and lattes comes a podcast hosted by two basic beings, Becca and Maddie. This is the Basic Bee Podcast.
Okay, this is our second episode.
I know. How are you feeling about this?
I'm a little scared for this one.
I am too. Hopefully, the people we talk about don't listen to the podcast.
Well, I'm not going to give away any identities.
Same.
So hopefully I can remember that because I have their names written on this.
I have them written in code, so I think we'll be okay.
I just realized you can see some of them.
Yeah.
It's fine. Okay,
It's fine.
Anyway. You introduced this episode.
Okay, so we want to talk about weirdos we have worked with, as well as weird experiences we've had at work, because this is something everyone can relate to, right? We've all had that one person you can't help but be like, this feels a little rapey, or this feels very awkward, or I'm super, super uncomfortable, but I work with you, so I'm forced to be uncomfortable for these next 6 hours. So we've all experienced that, and we've all had weird experiences, so we're going to share ours today.
Yes, part of being in the workforce is learning how to deal with weirdos because the world is full of them. And also, I think we should mention we're having a separate episode for weird bosses or bad bosses.
Yes.
So, all right, are we going to start out with weirdos and move into weird experiences?
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
So, I think you had more experiences than I do, but I think I had more people. So, if you want, I will gladly start.
All right, start us off.
Okay, so, I call this person Drugs, Knives, and Infidelity.
Oh, shoot.
Is the name of the story. Okay, so, once upon a time, I worked at a daycare, right? And my coworker, who will rename nameless, I found out, and we were friends. I need to state this. We were friends. She was always a little bit odd, but it was you know, you had to be friends with everyone. And so she ended up admitting to having an affair to me, right? And I need to preface this. I worked at a Christian daycare. So this is a big deal.
That's huge.
Right? But before I knew about this, I got her a part-time job where I had a part-time job. So I was at the daycare and I transitioned somewhere else, and my part-time job was opened up and she took it. So this new boyfriend would come in and he threatened a coworker with a knife for flirting with her. He held a knife to his neck.
The person that she's having an affair with.
Yes,
okay.
yes. He came, that's where they would hang out, I guess, before she went home to her husband. I don't know.
Ew, at the daycare?
No, it was at my current workplace.
Oh.
So she was working at the daycare and part-time, which is what I used to do.
Okay.
And so that was a whole situation, and he was apparently, on all these, drugs. Hence the name Drugs, Knives, and Infidelity. And so, mind you, no one told my boss, right? And I'm like, okay.
You were conflicted.
I was conflicted. And I needed to also say that when the daycare boss found out about it, that it was a rumor, because she hadn't just told me, it was a rumor swirling around, because she'd give him money at the daycare. He'd come in and she'd give him money.
Ew.
And yeah, it was so weird.
He needed money from her?
Yeah. And when the boss confronted her about it, he slashed all 4 of her tires. This guy did. So he was dangerous, right?
What a psycho.
I know. And so I had to go to my current workplace, working there 4 months, and I had to tell them, hey, this guy's dangerous, and they ended up firing her.
Yeah, they can't be, that's a liability to you and all the other people.
Yeah. So that was my first weirdo that I've worked with. Yes. There are so many stories about her. They will be eventually shared.
Oh, good.
But yeah, that was just one of the weirdest one, because like I said, working at a Christian daycare, your friends sleeping around. And you've met the husband, and the husband's great.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
That poor guy.
I know. I don't know if he knows still.
Yeah, that's like a weird conflict because it's like, as a Christian, is it your duty to tell him?
And I just was like, nah.
Yeah, it's too messy to get involved in almost.
Well, the whole situation is weird, but yeah.
Did she get mad at you for telling your boss?
She didn't know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, she has to know the boss was tipped off somehow.
Well, I think he told her, so there were cameras in our building. So he told her he was looking at the cameras or something.
That's good. Your boss had your back,
but
at least.
the boss, I'm sure she may not think it was me because the guy that got threatened with a knife never came forward, never told. And the people that saw it never told either. And that's where I was kind of angry. Is like, why are you guys putting me in this position? I wasn't even here. Why didn't you guys tell them that you got threatened with a knife? Like, dummies.
So stupid. That's so frustrating. Mm-hmm. But wow. What a weirdo.
I know. Your turn.
That's a dangerous weirdo. Mm-hmm. Okay. My turn. Okay, so this is a man I worked with at I worked at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse for a long time. But he and I were friends. We had very different beliefs that we would debate about, and he actually really liked my friend who I had gotten the job there. But we had a staff work party, and I brought Adam, my boyfriend. And everybody was kind of drunk at that point. I wasn't even 21 yet, so I wasn't drinking and Adam wasn't drinking. But I wanted Adam to meet him because we were friends at work. And he's like in his 30s and married and all this stuff. So the first thing he says to Adam is, man, it must suck to have sex with her because she's so bony.
Oh my gosh. What did Adam say?
I don't even remember. We both probably looked at each other and laughed because it was just like, what are you saying? But I told him later at work and he had no recollection of saying that.
Okay.
But he was definitely an interesting character. So my story isn't as interesting as yours, but...
Hey, I mean, could you imagine though, like being that person that's like, man, it must suck to have sex with you. Like,
and he would
so
always
weird.
make fun of my ass. He'd be like, you have no ass. I could never be attracted to you. And I'm like, I don't want you to be attracted to me.
I know. I already got a guy that's attracted to me and I don't need anything else, right? Like,
and to be fair, I was trying to model then. So I was like so skinny. And I was wearing like pants that were way too big for me at the time. I don't know why I did that, but my butt was like a constant topic of conversation there because it was just so flat.
Yeah.
But,
hey, guys like the curves, but then they complain about them. I don't know.
Well, I had none. But we're moving on up. I'm doing squats now.
Well, there you go. That's how it be.
Okay, your turn.
Okay. This is another daycare story. And I'm a little concerned now that I'm like looking at my list that
it's all this girl.
Well, no, different. I did different weirdos, but I'm like, man, the Christian daycare has the most weirdos.
Well, any type of Christian community will have a lot of weirdos.
That's true. You know, the pastor at this church fell off the stage and we all busted out laughing. Oh my gosh, I have the video because it was just so glorious. Because he was a jerk.
I want to see that.
I will show it to you. This the pastor was like a complete jerk, and he, you know, now that I think about it, he was a weirdo because while he wasn't my boss, because he wasn't like over the daycare, he was kind of like an authority figure there, and he could theoretically, I'm sure, tell us what to do. And he was like touchy with women, and that's when I say like rapey, it was like I would not be in an office alone with him. Like, yeah, he was creepy.
I'm sure other people felt that way.
Yeah, like a lot of people. But anyway, so I call this Girl in Her Pajamas.
I like how you have titles. I wasn't that creative with mine.
I know. Well, you know, I was just like trying to think of ways to describe people without saying their names. So, this was another coworker in my classroom. So she had like a bad home life, so it's not completely her fault. And she was bipolar.
That's sad.
I know. So it wasn't her fault, but the worst part, and what was worse for the kids as well, is you never knew how she was coming into work.
Oh gosh.
Like mood-wise.
Yeah.
Many days she came in her pajamas and she would like sit at the Lego table and play by herself and wouldn't let the 3-year-olds play with her. And she
I'd
wouldn't
be firing her.
She did get fired.
That's good.
And she wouldn't talk to me. She'd ignore the kids. It was so bizarre. And so that was one of the stories. And she was like weirdly obsessed with me, like in a creepy, possibly lesbian way.
Oh.
And she was like obsessed with me wearing white. And I wore white one day and she was like commenting, "You look so cute, good in white, da da da." And then after that, she called me Angel till she got fired. It was.
What did you say?
I mean, like, it was in front of like all my friends, and I had one friend, and she's her name's Karen. I'll name her, but she's a good Karen.
That's good. I have a good Karen in my life.
Oh, that's good. And she was like, "That's so weird," and like, so I would talk to her about her, and I would just ignore the Angel comments, and I never wore white to work again.
At least you had like a eyewitness to that.
Yeah, it was so creepy, but yeah, she was bizarre, man. And then I had a pool party at my husband's parents' house. They had a pool, and it's heated.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, she wasn't even 21, and she was, like, trying to get other people's drinks. It was bizarre.
You had to invite her because you were obligated?
Yeah. Well, like, literally everyone was invited.
Oh.
So, yeah, it was, like, one of those things where it was, like, a after-work event that you invite everybody to. So, yeah. But that's my story.
I feel like if you have bipolar disorder, you should not be allowed to work with kids.
Yeah, and it's not fault of her own by any means, but the fact that,
of course,
it's just not a job for someone who's bipolar, because the kids just read that wrong. And it was hard. She only worked in that room with me for 3 months before she got fired, so.
I wonder why she was obsessed with you in white.
I don't know.
If it was, like, symbolic or if she just liked the color.
I mean, I look good in everything, so I don't know why white was such a
turn on. That's disturbing.
Yeah.
Okay. My next story is about one of my really good friends who I still have from Ruth's, but so he is Mexican, and a lot of the people who work there were Mexican, but after I quit Ruth's, he got really drunk, and I don't even remember, but he got arrested basically, so he was put on house arrest. So I would Snapchat him every now and then and just see how he was doing.
Yeah.
But he was like, "Hey, Loca, I really need your help. Like, I really need you." And I'm like, "What? I don't have a lot of money, but, like, if you need food or something, like, I can bring you food or whatever." He was like, "Well, I just really I need to have a friend. Like, I need to talk." And I was worried about him because he was stuck at his house. So I was like, okay, I'll go see him. And of course, it was like 30 minutes away. I didn't know what I was going to walk into. So I see him, I see his ankle bracelet, and he's like, "Hey, Loca, I love you." Because he would say that to me all the time. And he'd always say, "You so beach." that was his saying. But anyway, okay, so he gets 2 dining room table chairs. And he's like, "Okay, I have to talk to you." I'm like, I'm scared for what he's about to say. I literally had no idea what he was going to say, if he was suicidal or what. That's kind of what I was expecting. But he takes our chairs, puts them out on the porch, and he has me sit across from him, and he's like, "Will you marry me?" And I thought he was joking at first. I'm like, "What?" He's like, "I need you to marry me because of my, like, legal status or something." I was like, "I cannot marry you." And I just basically said no and left.
Oh my gosh.
But we're still friends.
Okay.
He understands. And he's fine. He got off house arrest. I don't know how he solved his issue, but yeah.
Oh my gosh. I was waiting for him to, like, be like, "I'm in love with you." But he wasn't in love with you. It sounds like he just wanted to marry you to stay in the country.
He might have been partly in love with me.
Possibly.
But yeah, we're still friends, so.
Yeah. As long as you didn't have to, what's the word? I've completely lost it.
I don't know. What's it mean?
Have sex. Like, consummate? Consummate the marriage.
That's the word, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I kept wanting to say constipate.
Not. Absolutely not.
Yeah. He probably would have been like, hey.
I think he would have
That's
been
one of the questions they ask you.
If you've had sex.
I think so. Yeah, because if you don't, then the marriage is void or something.
Well, I have a very interesting story about that, about a person I know, but that can be for a different podcast.
Okay.
All right, your next weirdo.
Okay, the singing weirdo.
Oh, good. I think I'll like this story.
Okay, so once again, I feel like really bad because I keep talking about the daycare.
I feel bad about the people I'm talking about, but it's like...
Well, I don't feel bad because all these stories are true. It's just like an interesting experience.
And the odds of them hearing this is very small.
Yeah.
I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings at all.
Yeah.
But if you're weird, I gotta tell it.
Yeah, you gotta tell it how it is. We're weird.
Yeah, you were actually my first weirdo on my list.
Right.
Because you got me the job at Great Times.
Yeah, so we're weird, and so we can talk about other weirdos.
Because they're talking about us.
Yeah, exactly. So, this girl, she worked at the daycare, and I don't know what her story was, but this boss that I had, which I cannot wait to talk about in a separate podcast, she hired these people, and I'm like, why? Like, can you not? Is it that bad?
She probably didn't have a big pool to choose from.
Probably not. But so this girl, she had no experience, and they put her with babies, like 1-year-olds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And 2-year-olds, and she'd walk up and down the hallways singing, and we'd always sing to the kids. That's normal.
Mm-hmm.
But the way she sang,
oh no,
was yelling. It was so weird. And her whole voice was like that. So it's constantly sounded like she was yelling at the kids. And by the way, she did not have hearing problems. It was just, I don't know.
Was it musical at all?
No.
What on earth?
I mean, I would imitate it now, but we would lose our listeners. But it was like, imagine yelling at the top of your lungs, very offbeat. The wheels on the bus go round and round.
Mm-hmm.
Just yelling it, not singing it. And that's what she sounded like. And then when she talked to the kids, she'd be like, give me a name. Matthew. Like, and she'd yell it. Like, and it sounded so mean. And it was terrifying. And then, okay, this is a separate issue, which has been reported. But I look over and she's carrying a 1-year-old by his ankles.
What?
Yes. And like swinging him, and he loved it. I will say he loved it. But I about died.
Oh my gosh.
What are you doing? And yeah, she got told she can't swing kids by their ankles anymore.
I'm not taking my kid to any Christian daycare.
I'm not taking them to daycare at all after that. I told my husband, we have kids, I have to be a stay-at-home mom. I've worked at a daycare. It ain't happening.
It sounds like they don't do enough checking in on the person before they actually hire them.
Well, that and the problem with Christian daycares is they're not regulated by the state like a regular daycare is. So we had 18 to 23-year-olds with 2 teachers.
That is crazy.
I know. So that's why I'm like, nah, not for me.
Well, I didn't know that. But...
Yeah, but they're not regulated by the state. So, yep, that's that one. And I promise my next weirdo is not from the daycare.
Okay, good. All right, my next weirdo is from a different steakhouse. And that was probably the second worst job next to Great Times. But yeah, so I got another job at a steakhouse. I was mostly a hostess there. And this girl... Are you okay? Do you have COVID?
The water went down the wrong pipe.
You can let it out.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay. Okay, so I made friends with this girl. She had like neon, all multicolored hair. And she would always tell me TMI about her life. Like,
yeah, I hate that.
I know. And I would always try to have sympathy for her, but at certain times it's just like, we need some boundaries here because I don't want to know everything about your personal life. And she obviously had issues that I knew of, but I don't know. It's like complicated because you're with that person every day, so you don't want to totally alienate them. But anyway, so one night she was like, hey, can you just drive me like 5 minutes? I don't have a car and I need you to take me to my boyfriend's after work. We were both getting off at the same time. I was like, of course, no problem. Where is it? And then she was like, Pizza Hut. And I was like, is it a close Pizza Hut? And she was like, oh yeah, it's definitely really, really close. So I was like, okay. So we got off work and she got in my car and told me way too much info about other stuff in her life. And she's giving me directions. And then like 10 minutes passes. And I'm like, okay, where the hell is this Pizza Hut? And she finally tells me where it's at. And it's like 20 minutes away from where we worked. And it was even further away than like where my house was. So it was in the opposite direction from our workplace to my house.
So essentially it was a 40-minute drive home?
Yes. So I dropped her off at the Pizza Hut because I guess her boyfriend worked there. And she just like sat on the curb. She didn't even go in. And maybe I don't know. It was just very strange. I was like, are you okay? Like, do you need something? And then I was having issues with my car. I forgot about this part. So my grandpa called me on our drive there. I was talking to him, and she kept trying to talk to my grandpa on the phone. And she was like, the dashboard says this. And I'm like, dude, get off. But
let me talk to my grandfather.
I was really excited to quit that job.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting. You had to drive her. So it was basically an extra hour out of your way because it was 20 minutes there and 40 minutes back.
Yeah, it wasn't 40. It was probably like 30 minutes back. But
still. It
was definitely like, why didn't you tell me this to begin with? Obviously, it's because she was worried I wouldn't take her. But she wasn't. The weirdest thing about her was just the too much info thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but I guess that wasn't a very good story.
No, I think it was very good because people do that where they're so scared you're going to say no that they lie to you. It drives me crazy.
I wish I could tell my boss stories because I think they're way more interesting, but I think that'll be a really good
I think so too. So for my last one, this one is, he was not like a complete weirdo, just our interactions were very strange.
Oh.
So when I worked at Great Times, I had a huge crush on this guy, right? And this also encompasses how much of a weirdo I am. So, I mean, like, I would do anything to get his attention, and I'd be excited. Like, I'd literally, like, remember the one sentence he said to me, and I'd run home and, like, be excited about it, right?
We've all been there.
Yeah, we've all been there. Dark times.
Yes.
And I just had such a huge crush on him. I don't know why. He really liked the same stuff I did. And so I think that's what it was, you know, you're an awkward teenager. So when you have something in common with someone, it's a big deal. And he was older too. I think that was part of the draw. And
I get that.
So to get him to talk to me, I like asked my brother for his old Pokemon cards.
Oh no.
Because he was really into Pokemon. And I gave it to him. The Pokemon cards. And I was so embarrassed after. And then I dated Brandon.
Was he excited?
Oh my gosh, yes.
But he didn't show interest.
He didn't show interest till I started dating my now husband, Brandon.
Oh, it took another man.
Yeah, it did. But I will say, like, we became really good friends. He was actually at my wedding.
What?
Yes, we were like friends after that. And I had a psycho boyfriend, and I thought he like had driven up to work once, and he like ran out to go confront him. Like, we ended up being really good friends. So he wasn't necessarily a weirdo. It was the interaction. They were so few and far between, and he was so quiet. But I was so in love with him anyway. And he liked chocolate milk so much.
And Brandon knows that.
Oh, yeah. Brandon laughs at it
and
now.
let you invite him to the wedding.
Yeah. Him and Brandon are friends too. But
okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So that's my last one.
Yeah, that definitely emphasized your weirdness.
Yeah. hey, you gotta do what you gotta do to get a boy to like you, including getting him Poke cards.
Yes, and purposefully placing Instagram posts or stories for them.
Yeah.
But I have one more weirdo story, but it's not really like a specific incident. I worked at Target very briefly last year during COVID, and it was in Denver while I was living in Colorado. And it was freaking awful. I mean, it seriously felt like the Twilight Zone because people were so cold there. And I don't know why, if it was me or if it's just a different culture.
You were the weirdo.
I was the weirdo. Like, I was the one saying, "Hi, how are you?" Like, trying to ignite some kind of friendship or acquaintanceship with anybody. And nobody would have it. My boss wouldn't even email me back. And then when I put my 2 weeks in, he just stopped scheduling me, didn't respond to my text, didn't respond to my email. Like, everyone there was so strange. And one morning, I was getting trained by this redhead girl. I don't even remember what her name was. And she wouldn't give me any direct instruction. She would just do it, expect me to learn it, and then send me off on a task. So I would ask her questions, and it was like 6:30 a.m. Lady Gaga was blaring on the Target speakers because it was I don't know why they did that. Anyway, so I hated that whole experience. Everyone there was a weirdo.
What did you do at Target?
I actually did a lot of pickup orders, so I would go around the store with a cart and get everybody's items that they ordered for pickup.
Okay, that might have been fun, though. Was that part fun?
It was kind of nice because I got to be alone away from the weirdos, but it was also, you had no interaction, and it was kind of boring after a while.
Yeah.
So I just hated that job.
Oh, I bet.
Anything with retail is just not my thing.
Yeah, but absolutely.
I think that covered all my weirdos.
Okay.
I'm going to click the mouse really quick.
So for the next one, this is, now we're moving on to like weird experiences we've had. So I call this the pooping kid.
Okay.
So once again, daycare. And this story has to do with the girl who was unfaithful to her husband.
Okay.
This one. Okay, so this kid, he would not poop on the toilet, like, and he was almost 3, right? And you have to be potty trained before you move into the 3's room. And one time, he pooped so bad, you know, it went up his back, everything. Kids do that. And it was everywhere. I mean, all over his body. Like, his whole backside down to his feet. And so I was leaving for the day, and she had taken him in to change him. And she was changing him, and his dad walks in and sees the disaster that is poop everywhere. And let me tell you, parents, if you have a diaper to change, you will do it. They will not step in. Like, they're like, finish changing the kid. I gotta do it all day, you know?
Yeah.
Some parents will be like, can you change him before we leave? Like, they'll even hand the kid back to you while they're in there. Are you
kidding?
No.
I'd be like, no.
Yeah, well, so she's cleaning up the mess, and he's trying to have, like, a casual conversation with her. But, like, I mean, poop is everywhere.
That's disgusting.
And eventually, him and I are talking for a minute. I have my purse, like, ready to leave. And she said to his dad, she's like, I'm really uncomfortable because of how much poop there is. Can you leave? And I'll take him out to you. And he's like, yes. Because, like, we were laughing at her having to clean this up. And then as soon as he leaves, we look, she notices there is poop all over her shirt.
Ew.
And that she had talked to him the whole time with crap on her shirt.
That's disgusting.
And she just started screaming, and I just died laughing. It was so funny.
She had no other shirt.
No, well, she had a tank top under it, but you weren't allowed to wear sleeveless or, you know, at church daycare.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I
That's
think they
immodest.
probably made a suggestion or a exception for that rule that day.
She put on one of the kids' shirts.
We had an extra outfit. A lot of people had extra outfits there. So that's my weird poop story. Your turn.
That was amazing. Yeah, I would never have the patience to work at a daycare.
It was hard.
Did you get paid enough?
No, they paid I started out I think at $7.50.
That is no. That's more than great times though.
Yeah, well, and then I think after when I became lead teacher, I got bumped up to $8.50.
Holy, that's so generous.
I know, we complained about our pay for a long time, and then I left.
Didn't you get at Great Times a quarter raise every year or something?
Yeah.
That is so crazy.
I know.
I'm gonna tell my kids that, and they won't believe me. Okay, this is a good one. So I worked also at the same time I worked at Target. I was working at a Kroger deli because I lost my job because of COVID. So we had a cold case in the deli, which is where all of the fruit salads and pasta salads were. And we had a crab salad. And we didn't have it every day, but we started getting this regular customer, and she was super demanding, super cold, and she only wanted white people to serve her.
Oh my gosh.
We're pretty sure. She didn't explicitly say it, but she would ask for a white person instead of the person who was serving her. So, because I had a Latina friend who was so sweet. She spoke perfect English, but every time she tried to help this lady, she asked for me. But anyway, so
what color? This lady was white?
This lady was white,
okay.
But we think she was German. She had an accent.
Gotcha.
And it sounded German, so she was probably a Nazi.
Oh my gosh. I hope not.
Probably not, but I don't know. Her actions were horrible.
Yeah.
So whenever we had this crab salad, she would obviously come try to get some. If we didn't have it, she would just walk away, not say thank you, nothing. So the first night she wants crab salad, I'm cleaning a slicer, so I have sanitizer all over my gloves. I have on cleaning gloves, and my friend tries to help her, and she's like, "You're not listening. I want her." But she didn't even give this lady a chance. So then I have to take my gloves off. I start getting her crab salad, and she's like, "No chunks, no chunks." She said, "Can you get a fork and break up the chunks?" And I should have said no, but of course I wanted to just please her and get her gone. So I got a fork and was breaking up these fake crab chunks in this crab salad. And then on the top, she goes, "On the top, I want chunks." In her German accent. So I'm raging inside, plopping chunks on top. So finally, she is satisfied with her chunkage, and I package it for her, and she's like, "Can you go get me chopsticks?" I'm like, "What?" And so there's a sushi station, so she's like, "Over there, I want some chopsticks." So she makes me go around their counter, get her chopsticks.
But could she have access to these?
She didn't, because it was behind a glass.
Okay.
But I wish I had just said no, but for some reason I didn't. So then she just rips open the label, which you're not allowed to do until after you buy it. And she's just eating crab salad with chopsticks in the store. And then it ended up that she was doing this so much, and we noticed that she threw away the packaging after she would finish eating it in the store.
Oh.
So we think she wasn't even paying for it.
Oh my gosh.
So they started watching her on the cameras. But she was a regular, and she was never nice. She had a very thick German accent.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So my question is, why chunks on the top but not throughout?
I don't know.
That's my takeaway from this story.
It wasn't even a good salad. It was fake crab. So
interesting.
She just grossed me out and pissed me off.
Yeah, that would tick me off too.
Yeah, she was a major weirdo.
Okay. This is a Great Time story, and I don't know if you remember this.
It's probably not. Great Times is such a blur to me because I kind of blocked it out.
Okay, so I was 16 years old, and I became a party hostess at this arcade we worked at. And
which means
you basically work a little kid's birthday party, right? So you bring him pizza, you bring him drinks.
You cut the cake.
You cut the cake, you help make, with the give them a list if they want to do the gifts and stuff. You make them like little treat bags, all of it. So it's a lot. And by the way, if you have a party at any arcade, tip the person.
Yes.
Please tip the person.
You never got tips as a party girl.
No, I will say one time somebody did tip me $100.
That's good.
Yeah, that was nice. And I deserved every bit of that $100 every time.
Yes, you did. That job was so hard.
Yeah, it was awful, and people were so mean. So, it was, once again, 16. It was, like, very early in my party hosting career. I mean, I would have to say it was probably one of the first 15 parties I did. And you do, like, 3 or 4 a day.
I forgot that.
Yeah.
That traumatized me in a little party closet.
Once you were 18, you could do 15 or 5 parties a day. You go, like, it's like at 10, or no, is it 11, 1, 3, 5, and 7 or 8 o'clock or something.
You talking about this is giving me memories I didn't even know I had.
Really? Okay. So, this one lady, this mom disappears, and you could not prepay for your party. You put down a deposit of $25, $50, or $75. You didn't do any more because that would confuse the girls, like if all these different amounts and not knowing how much to charge the people. So, anyway, so this woman did a $25 deposit because I remember it being a thing, clear as day. And I see the mom at the beginning, and I don't see her till the end. She was not around for the pizza. The dad ordered the pizza. She was not around for the cutting of her child's cake. She came back to pay the bill. Apparently, she had gone to the bowling alley and gotten drunk.
Oh.
Yeah, at her 5-year-old's princess-themed birthday party. She was sweet. The girl...
That is sad.
I know. The birthday girl was so sweet. So then the woman tried to accuse me of stealing from her when I gave her the bill. And she was like, no, I already paid you. I already gave you money. And I swear, to this day, she never gave me anything. And I told her, I said, ma'am, did you go pay for extra pizzas or something and give them money? I said, you never gave me anything. And then she tried to hit me.
What?
Yes, I was 16. The husband stopped her. Yeah, the husband stopped her. And then we had police that worked at the arcade on Friday and Saturday nights. And so I went into the office, told him everything that happened. The manager grabs like all the information and finishes the party. And the security guard kicked her out and said, if you would have touched her, I would have had to arrest you.
That I almost wish she would have.
I know. And so
Did you cry?
Yes.
That sounds traumatizing.
It was, well, mind you, I was 16 and this grown, drunk woman tried to hit me.
Yeah, that's traumatizing.
And, yeah, it was wild, but I have, like, once again, I had all these, I'm sure you remember, there were so many guys that worked there, and they were all so in love with any woman that looked at them. It wasn't even because I was faintly good looking, because I was 16 with braces.
You were beautiful.
And, yeah, all these guys were, like, comforting me.
Where is she?
Right, one guy, literally, I was sitting kind of like you were now, and he got on his knees, and he was like, I love with me, just trying to comfort me, and it was just so,
Aww.
I know, it was so sweet. That was like the highlight of the story was,
all the boys wanted to make you feel good.
I know. So yeah, that's one of my weirdest experiences and something I still have with me to this day.
That is a really good story. I've never faced violence in my... Actually, I've been in the face of violence, but it was between 2 men at the bar, not me.
Well, there you go.
But anyway, this isn't really a story, but we had a lot of similar clientele at Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, and a lot of them would be escorts with older women, and they would get gifts during dinner, so all of the servers and server assistants would watch what would happen. And then we also had a lot of what the servers called tinkers. I don't know if that's offensive, but they were basically Irish gypsies that had came here, and they had really thick accents, but it was like a medley of like Irish accent with, I don't even know, but they would speak a mixed language. It was really interesting. They were so rude. They ordered everything on the menu, but they tipped amazingly. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But also at Ruth's, they wouldn't let us talk about this when I worked there. After it happened, they sent out an email saying you are not allowed to talk about this, but I'm assuming I can now. Plus, it was so long ago. But I had worked one night, I left, and then the next day I came back into work, and I guess right after I left, a guy was drunk, and we had two stories. We had a bar on top and a bar on bottom. And this drunk guy was sitting on the banister, and he fell off and fell a whole floor down. And he fell right in front of my friend who was a server. And he told me the story the next day. And he said the guy didn't even moan. He didn't move. He seriously looked dead. And then the cops came the next day. I was at work, and they conducted an investigation. And I never found out if the guy died or not, but they had people go into rooms and question them about what happened because they were suspecting somebody overserved this guy. So that was really interesting.
Oh my gosh.
And then another guy had a heart attack at dinner, and he was on the floor, and the paramedics came in, and everybody was just staring at this guy who had just, yeah. So that was really interesting. There was always like drama at that restaurant. But let me think. I'm telling these quick stories before your next one because they're just so small.
I do want to add there, what would you do if you were the server who a guy lands right in front of you?
I don't know. I mean, my friend wasn't really bothered by it, but I mean, he had been a server for like 20 years.
Oh my gosh. So it's probably not the first time he's seen it.
No, he's seen all kinds of crazy stuff. He was really funny. But yeah, I'm kind of glad I missed it because that sounds horrible.
I don't know what I would do.
Yeah. I have a weirdo from one of my old jobs. It was this guy who would wear skinny jeans that were so tight you could see his bussy.
Oh my gosh.
Do you know what a bussy
is?
Yes. Are you sure?
I think so. Explain it
what
for our
it?
listeners. No.
A boy pussy. It was like his balls separated in the
Okay,
pants.
that's what I thought we were talking about, but when you made it sound like a guy had a vagina, I was completely lost. Okay.
He would wear these pants so tight you could see his pussy. Okay, so that was one weirdo I forgot about.
That's a good one.
And then, and he also smelled like BO really bad.
Oh my gosh.
Bless his little heart.
Yeah, that's awful.
Okay. You have anything?
No, that's it.
That's it?
That's it.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wait, no. I'm sorry. I have one, but it's kind of sad, and I'm worried it's going to dampen the mood.
Is it entertaining?
I mean, possibly.
Well, you tell that one, and then I'll finish it up with a lighthearted story.
Okay, so I worked at a call center. We had this, if a student had died that had student loan debt, we had to have a death certificate, right? And usually people would go online, and you didn't have to deal with that at all because it's heartbreaking. And I had this one woman call in, and she gave me all the information I needed, account number, everything. And then I'm like, okay, well, and you know me, I'm the most bubbly person. I'm like, oh, well, how can I help you today? And she goes, she's yelling into the phone, bawling. And she goes, you were sending my daughter bills, and my daughter is dead. And I was like, and I'm trying to find the script.
Right.
Because there's a script you can read. And I'm like, and then I read the script, and I'm not kidding. The script is, I am so sorry for your loss. I can help you by giving you the fax number to send the death certificate into. And that was the script. And I was like, I cannot say this.
What did you say?
So I think she's mad at me. Mad at me.
Yeah.
And I mean, this whole, everything she said back, she's like, I don't want to say she's being dramatic because something had happened to her like that. But yeah, so she's yelling at me, and I'm like, I am so, so sorry. I cannot imagine what you're going through, but we can take care of this for you where you're not getting that mail anymore. I had like the power to stop emails or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that, and then I gave her the fax number to send the death certificate to.
That's all you can do.
I know. So that's like, I don't want to say it's a weirdo experience, but it's just like a traumatizing experience for me. Because, like, I mean, this woman...
That sounds awful.
...was yelling. Yeah, I didn't work there much longer after that. Because I was like, I hate that.
Yeah, I worked at a call center, too. And you reminded me of a story that's better than the one I was going to tell.
Oh, do tell.
Well, the one I was going to tell was that I went to a photo shoot for a modeling agency. And it was an Amish photo shoot. So
oh, my gosh.
They had me dress for an Amish romance novel. But
Ooh.
that was basically the gist of that story.
Was there a Amish male model with you?
No, it was actually me and another model, and we had separate photo shoots, but then we were doing one together too.
Mm-hmm.
I think we were like friends or sisters who were both in love with Amish men or something. I never got to see the book. So that was my one story, but you reminded me of a really good story at my call center, which was quite the adventure. I got fired from there at the end.
Yes, that's a story we will have to share one day.
That's a good story. I didn't deserve it. So I pick up the phone. I'm like, blah, blah, blah. How can I help you? And it's this old man, and there's like this long silence, and he's like, what size shoe are you? And I was like, excuse me? And he goes, what size shoe are you? I was like, 10. And he was like, if you had to put your bare feet on my bare butt to save my life, would you? I thought I was getting pranked, but it was like an old man. Like, he wasn't like a fake voice. And I said, I'm so sorry, what? And he said, if it was you, me, and the doctor in the room, and you had to put your bare feet on my bare butt if I was having a heart attack and it would save my life, would you do it? I said, maybe. And he hung up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
I know. And then I was like so shook, and I told all of the girls in my call center, and we all just died laughing.
Oh my gosh.
It didn't seem real. And they all were like, are you serious? Are you telling the truth? Because we didn't get calls like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that was a good story to end on.
To our listeners, if it saved an old man's life, would you put your bare feet on an old man's bare butt?
I think he had a foot fetish. I think that's what was going on.
You know, and that's a money market.
Yeah. I mean, I'd consider
Send pictures of your feet.
I don't think I could morally do it, actually, but...
Yeah, I could... Have you seen, like, the dead skin one where you can, like, get the... Send your foot shape.
Ew.
People pay big money for that stuff. Isn't that weird?
Disgusting.
I know.
Well, you have anything to add?
No. I was just gonna ask if you've ever this is an experience I've had it many, many times. So I was gonna ask if you've had it. Have you ever had a weird coworker ask you to set them up with somebody?
No,
that is the worst.
That sounds awful.
That happened to me at one of my jobs, and I really liked the girl he wanted to be set up with, so I just let him down easy.
Aww.
As her, I'm like, hey, like, I'm sorry, she's not interested.
That's good for her that you did that. Though.
Yeah, I was just like, yeah, I'm not gonna do this.
That's good. You took one for the team.
I know, but I'm like, man, what if I stopped a love story, but then...
Yeah, they could be married by now.
Yeah, who knows?
Well, I think I'm going to finish off with our misconnection.
Let's do it.
So, Becca hasn't heard this, so this is... She'll have to react to this.
Okay.
All right, this one is called Where is the Guy with the Rooster? And this is from Indianapolis.
Oh, gosh.
If you are the guy or are another guy with a nice rooster that can help me out, then let me know ASAP. It doesn't have to do tricks or anything. Just come over and pull it out in my coop. I'm bored with these chickens and seen them plenty. So come over and let me get a good look at your rooster, and then you can take your $50 rooster home, or if you decide you'd like me to hold on to it for a while or eat it like the chickens, I'm fine with that too.
Oh my gosh. Is the rooster metaphorical for something?
I would take a guess, yes.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, apparently this lady needs some rooster in her life.
It might be a man, actually.
This man needs some rooster. Someone needs some rooster in their life. They're
So-
severely lacking rooster. What if some, like, poor old person took that literally and, like, just thought that they needed a rooster?
That they would almost deserve to get what they got.
My grandma would think they were serious. Not that she had roosters to give, but...
You can't be that clueless anymore. All right, well, I think that sums up that episode.
Yeah, good job.
You too.
Thank you.
I learned more about you today.
Yeah, well, I hope you guys enjoyed Weirdos We've Worked With, because I'm sure you all have stories of your own, and please leave them in the comments. We'd love to read them.
Yeah, feel free to email them to us. I guess we'll see you in the next episode.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Hey, it's Becca.
Hey, it's Maddie.
Thank you so much for listening to the Basic Bee podcast.
Follow us on the gram at Basic Bee Pod.
And join our private Facebook group linked in the episode notes.
Be sure to catch our next episode and leave us a nice review.
Until then, stay basic.
Bye, bees.